Here's the 6 corrupted bosses. Dusk. Did I just accidentally activate the Katarina thing? I think I did. Look. Oh, fuck! I just got one shot! Oh my god! I just got one shot by the fucking ribbon, man! What the fuck? I think that was a lightning one just crit me or some shit. Oh my god. Oh, buddy. Oh my god. Yep, as you can see, solo self-found Ice Trapper has died. Wanted to give you guys a death analysis and breakdown here of what happened with this rather entertaining and somewhat educational death as well. So whenever there's a good lesson to be learned from a hardcore death, I'd like to share that with you guys as well. And it also helps consolidate that knowledge in my own mind too. So very satisfied with this death overall, and the performance of my solo self-found Ice Trapper character was an absolute dream to play. Played extremely well solo self-found, had a great time with it. Got one shot by something pretty crazy here at the end, but we'll get into that in a moment. But I had a goal of reaching level 90 in the solo self-found challenge, and I died at level 89. I just hit level 89, so one level off, but yeah, I can't complain about that. That was a pretty good effort, so I'm pretty happy with that. I also died at rank 47 out of the top 50 as well, so that was pretty satisfying. That's not based on the slash play, that's just based on the actual level. I don't know, there's no way of telling what everyone else's slash plays were, but I died at 44 hours in on this character, 44 hours and 20 minutes about that. So pretty satisfied with the performance, had a really great time progressing with the character, and I died to something that I underestimated a little bit. So let's break down this rather interesting death. So we're playing in the Bazaar map here, and this map has 3 unique bosses in it: Dialer's Anger, Wrath, and Hatred. And these are 3 unique little ribbon mobs. You can see where they are here, these little white ribbons, whereas they usually black, red, and gold. You can kind of see that these guys look a little different because they're all white pretty much. And I think these are guys that people don't typically notice. They have very low life, and if you have good AoE damage, then typically you're going to kill them while you kill the rest of the pack, and half the time you won't even notice they're there. Now, they do each have an aura. Each one of the 3 have auras that add cold, lightning, and fire damage. And I think my point of view on them has always been that I knew that they presented some danger. And mostly, though, I thought of that in terms of what other mobs were with them. So usually with a boss pack, there'll be a champion pack as well. And if there was like a bunch of the quill beasts or something like that, the ones that shoot out spines, then they could potentially become quite dangerous. If you blow up the pack and a bunch of quills come out with all the added elemental damage, then you could get blown up from that. So I've had a bit of respect for them in terms of what they can add to mobs nearby, but never really thought about them as too dangerous by themselves. I'd heard that they were kind of dangerous by themselves, but I didn't really have that respect, which I'm at least taking that away from this particular happening. But hopefully you guys do too. But it turns out they actually can be fairly dangerous themselves. So there's 3 kind of parts of this death, I guess. One is a bit of a misplay, which is mostly based on positioning. The second is that lack of respect that I talked about, lack of kind of fear of the danger, which led to me misplaying. And then the third one was some phenomenally bad luck, which we'll get into in a moment. But the misplay is right here. So I'm fighting and I kill 2 of the ribbons. This is a double boss map, so there's 6 of them. Now their auras don't stack any more than they do, so they stack up 3 auras, but they don't double stack or anything like that. Like they don't get 2 instances of the added fire damage. They only get 1 version of each aura. But this means that even though I killed 2 of them, and usually what happens is you're going to kill 1 or 2 of them really quickly, and then the third one's not really a danger. These guys are kind of dangerous when they're all together. But because I killed 2, and there's still another, few off screen, that adds to the danger and contributes to this death as well. But here comes the misplay, right? So I'm fighting, and the first couple I'm fighting, I'm doing the right thing. I'm killing them. I'm kind of like running side to side, which is what you should be doing against any mobs that charge, and I'm kind of killing them by kiting and playing it a bit safe. But then I'm getting a bit overconfident. That lack of respect for these guys just here puts me into a position where I'm like, okay, let's just get up in there. Let's go and blow these guys up and get this map over with, right? I just hit 89, my solo self-found guy. I'm feeling pretty good. We killed the, I'm like worried about the Katarina mobs because they're kind of dangerous. I'm like, all right, Katarina mobs are dead. We're good to go. Let's go blow up the rest of these monsters here. So a couple of these guys charge in. I move off to the side to avoid their charge. But I put myself in a bad position here. There's actually, I think, some unpathable terrain here, which kind of blocks my ability to maneuver. And against charging mobs, you should never put yourself in that situation, right? You should never back up against some sort of unpathable terrain. Don't know if I recognized it at the time, but in hindsight, that's there. But mostly the fact that I'm kind of putting myself up in with the bosses instead of hanging back in this hallway where I had plenty of safe area to kite, back where there were no extra mobs, right? So I put myself into this situation, and let me go back a little bit here and kind of go smoother frame by frame. I'm kind of close to these guys. I'm like, okay, I better move back from them a little bit instead of just standing there and taking the hits. I go to move, I decide to cast my Enduring Cry. Not really important in this case. I cast my Enduring Cry, and then I either get stuck here or I decide to not move. A bit hard to tell. There was some unpathable like rocks and stuff in this area, so I may have gotten stuck on a rock. Either way, I'm in a bad position here. And then that happens. So, why did I die to this, right? Why did I die to this? So, the first thing is, as I said, these guys each have an elemental aura, and they all stack. Now, off screen, there's a couple more of these ribbon guys. We see them come around later if you hang around and watch this. And there's actually another 2 over here as well. And I think there's actually the combination, both off screen and over here, of all 3 elements. Pretty close to. I think they might be. A bit hard to tell with what's off screen, but there's still the stacking triple elemental damage, right? And then there is just 30% more boss damage on the 30% increased boss damage on the map. No extra damage mods on top of that, no crit mods or anything like that, right? Nothing too excessive on the map itself. Just the stacking damage auras of these bosses. So that's the first thing, right? Now here's where the bad luck comes into play. Now I'm playing an evasion character with dodge, pretty high evasion, decent evasion, and more importantly, enfeeble on blasphemy, a very powerful defensive curse. Enfeeble lowers an enemy's accuracy, so they're less likely to hit, lowers their crit chance and their crit multiplier, so they crit less often. They're, in most cases, very, very unlikely to crit, unless there's like a crit affix on the map, in which case they are still pretty unlikely to crit. And then if they do crit, the lowered crit multiplier lowers their damage from the crit. And then Enfeeble also reduces damage taken as well by a good amount. So Enfeeble is an incredibly powerful defensive curse, and I'm cursing everything around me in nearly a screen-sized AoE. Now here's the thing, and this is one of the big important takeaway lessons from this. Charge is a very dangerous skill, because the damage, chance to hit, and crit multiplier, etc., all of that is determined or snapshotted the moment the charge is initiated. Now this guy starts his charge off screen. Now you can actually see, as soon as we can see him underneath this health bar, he's enfeebled, right? My enfeeble radius is massive. I have a lot of AoE on this character, so he's enfeebled. But that enfeeble isn't applying to the charge because he initiated this charge off screen. He actually starts that charge about here, right before the enfeeble kicks in. Yeah, he starts that charge right under that health bar, and you can't see the enfeeble aura signifier until he gets to there, that frame right there, just under there. So he started that charge about 3-4 frames outside of enfeeble radius, or like a tiny bit of distance in terms of gameplay. Like it's basically the distance between here and here. So that amount of distance probably killed me here. A little unlucky perhaps, but shield charge, incredibly dangerous, and something to be very aware of if you're playing an evasion character, or if you're playing a character where you're, for things like physical charges, like rowers and stuff like that, where you're relying on something like a granite or basalt flask, because if you activate those after the charge begins, the damage won't be affected. The damage is snapshotted at the moment the charge is created, the potential damage, right? Now, of course, you can sidestep charges, and that is what you should always do. You should always be in a position where you're able to sidestep charges, and you should always be ready to sidestep charges, especially as an evasion character, especially if you're relying on, you know, things like a basalt flask, and especially if you're relying on something like enfeeble blasphemy. So that was my major error, that lack of respect and that lack of recognition of the potential danger there. Especially, you know, I'm kind of like, with like physical rowers and stuff like that, I'm like, I'm on top of that. I know that they're very dangerous, but I didn't think about it in terms of these elemental guys here, and these guys are gnarly. So that's the first bit of bad luck, right? That he starts charging just outside my enfeeble range. So the enfeeble, gone. One of my most powerful defensive mechanics, gone. Now, I'm still an evasion character with dodge, and he hits me. That's kind of unlucky, right? That's kind of unlucky. On top of that, he crits me. This hit is a crit. You know how we can tell that? Because when you crit with fire damage, it ignites you, and ignites linger after death. Now, we can't see the chill, or freeze, or shock, or any of that, because those disappear once you die here, but the ignite remains on the corpse, and you can actually see my ignited burning corpse right there on the ground, and you can see the ignite icon up here. So he crit me. That's the second bit of bad luck. So in addition to starting the charge outside of enfeeble range, getting the hit on evasion character, and getting the crit, and the way that evasion versus crits and hits work is that your evasion is compared to the accuracy for both the initial hit and the fact that it's going to be a crit. So twice I got screwed on the rolls. Very unlucky. And then on top of that, this guy who did this, powerful crits. He's the only one of the three that has that affix. They each have a different affix. One has quick, one has something else, I don't know. And then this one has powerful crits. The one that did the charge from outside of enfeeble range that got the hit and got the crit is the one with powerful crits, which is a big multiplier or a big increase to the amount of damage they deal if they get a crit. So this guy has triple stacked elemental damage auras, doing a massive amount of elemental damage, powerful crits, and he rolls that crit with no enfeeble to save me. Now I'm just a regular character, 75 all res capped. You know, what can you do? That's most characters for you. The amount of damage before resistances that this dealt was at least 23k plus. I don't know how much he actually dealt. Could have been more. I don't know. In this situation, you're always like, would I have lived with 5,500 life? Would I have lived with 7k life? Could any character survive that amount of damage or that amount of bad luck? I don't know. Maybe. But he did at least like 23k plus damage, elemental damage there, so a bit unfortunate. So lack of respect combined with a bit of a misplay, getting myself in a bad situation here, bad positioning, and then just some extreme bad luck stacking up for that one shot, man. That one shot. So, if you guys take anything away from this, have a bit of respect for shield charging mobs or charging mobs. Recognize that your blasphemy enfeeble doesn't affect them if they start outside of range. Recognize that you can't react with things like Granite Flask, Basalt, and I'm pretty sure even Immortal Call doesn't work. Dodge, evade those guys, you know, sidestep those charges. That's the best defense against charges always. Always sidestep charges, never stand there and face tank them. Whether you think you're going to be fine or not, best to be sidestepping those every time. And then, you know, have a little bit of respect for the little ribbon dudes. They're a bit more dangerous than you might expect. Even though you can kill them without even seeing them half the time, sometimes this might happen. Alrighty guys, hopefully you enjoyed the death analysis. That is going to be it for now. I am ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.